Welcome to the video replay for December 6th, 2020 for Double Up Trivia. If you want to participate in the actual live trivia event, it is every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/yearofglad. It takes about an hour to play. It's totally free to play. There are no prizes. In this video, just look at the questions and answers from December 6th, 2020. In round 1 and in round 2, there are 8 questions. In this video, I'll read each question followed by the answer. If you need more time to think about the question and answer, just go ahead and pause the video at the appropriate point. Here is round 1, question number 1. What 1963 film centers on a thief attempting to steal the titular diamond, so named because of the appearance of a tiny discoloration seen when looking into it? That diamond, now perhaps more commonly known as an animated character, Diamond is the Pink Panther. The jewel appeared in 6 of the 11 films in the series. Question number 2. The figure shown here, which shows the position of the sun viewed from a fixed location at a fixed time, has what name? The last 5 letters of which are a word, meaning a minor proven proposition in logic. And that 5-letter word is lemma. The figure shown here is an analemma. And analemmas for Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are also in the shape of figure 8s. Here's round 1, question number 3. What word, formed by 2 German words, one of which translates to English as education, refers to books such as Great Expectations, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man? One of those German words is Bildung, and the answer is Bildungsroman. And those are books that focus on the growth of the protagonist as he or she moves from youth to adulthood. Round 1, question number 4. What 1982 arcade game, the first to be advertised on television, gets its name from the isometric axonometric projection used, a projection which produces a 3-dimensional effect? That arcade game, which gets its name from the word axonometric, was Zaxxon. And that same projection, or a similar one, is used in Q*bert to create a 3-dimensional effect there. Round 1, question number 5. What 2-word term for wealthy families of a New England city, coined by Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr., is a reference to the highest class in the Hindu caste system? And the highest class are the Brahmins. That 2-word term are the Boston Brahmins, and their importance is detailed in this poem by John Bossidy. Quote, "And this is good old Boston, the home of the bean and the cod, where the Lowells talk only to Cabots, and the Cabots talk only to God." Round 1, question number 6. The secret society known as the Yehoquan, Righteous and Harmonious Fists, were probably first given what name? The name by which they are most commonly known in the West by Christian missionaries. The key here was that word fists. That society were known as the Boxers because of the martial arts that they practiced. And the Boxers, of course, lent their name to the Boxer Rebellion. Round 1, question number 7. What pilot, noted for his high-altitude flying, discovered the jet stream and died in the same plane crash that killed American humorist Will Rogers? That pilot was Wiley Post. The public airport in Barrow, Alaska, which is about 9 miles from the site of the plane crash, is now known as Wiley Post Will Rogers Memorial Airport. And round 1, question number 8. What 2 letters begin the name of a shortbread cookie manufactured by Keebler, the author of the 1989 novel Billy Bathgate, although more famous for his 1975 novel, and the author of the 2019 romance novel The Mister, although more famous for her 2011 novel? And for a bonus 3 points, teams could answer this question. What 3 words or names complete the 3 described items or people? So the main answer here was just 2 letters. All 3 of those things described in the question begin with the letters E-L, and those 3 things are E.L. Fudge, E.L. Doctorow, more famous for Ragtime, and E.L. James, more famous for 50 Shades of Grey. In between rounds 1 and 2, there's a speed round. This week's speed round is the swordplay round. Teams are given 3 pairs of clues, And in each pair, the end of one of the answers begins the second answer. And the number of letters, the number of overlapping letters, is always given in parentheses. And then by taking all those overlapping letters and rearranging them, you can construct something that fits into a category given. So this week's category is world leaders. So if you take all the overlapping letters in each of the pairs of clues that you're going to receive, you can rearrange them to make the last name of a world leader. The clues are political movement and military organization, whose name comes from the Pashto for students, plus pseudonym associated with, most likely, Robin Gunningham. So the last three letters in the political movement are the first three letters in the pseudonym. Number two, two-word Mexican state on the Yucatan Peninsula, plus Al Gore and Tommy Lee Jones, notably. And word describing a suspension of fine solid or liquid particles in air, plus concept exemplified by me and a female deer, among others. And there are 9 total overlapping letters. Again, if you rearrange those, you get the last name of a world leader. Here are the answers for this week's swordplay round. The political movement is the Taliban, and the pseudonym associated with, most likely, Robin Gunningham is Banksy, the overlapping letters being B-A-N. The two-word Mexican state is Quintana Roo, and Al Gore and Tommy Lee Jones were notably roommates at Harvard. And the word describing a suspension of particles in air is aerosol. The concept, exemplified by me, a name I call myself, and doe, a female deer, is solfege. Taking those 9 letters and rearranging them gives the last name of world leader Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil. After the speed round, we go to round 2, which works exactly the same as round number 1. 8 questions, 8 answers. Here is round 2, question number 1, the 2004 documentary The Hot Shoe, which includes interviews with several MIT alumni, centers around what game? And that documentary centers around blackjack, and specifically the MIT blackjack team, which was also the focus of the 2008 feature film 21. Round 2, question number 2. The reluctance of the medical community to embrace an effective treatment for a malady because it doesn't make sense is in effect named after what member of the nightshade family, which Americans once believed to be poisonous despite having been regularly consumed in Europe. That member of the nightshade family is the tomato, and that is known as the tomato effect. Up until the mid-18th century in the United States, tomatoes were still generally planted as ornamental plants rather than for food. Question number 3. What was the most recent year in which the Gregorian and Julian calendars contained a different number of days? And here the primary difference between the Gregorian and Julian calendars is the Julian calendar has a leap year every 4 years, while the Gregorian calendar generally follows that rule but has some exceptions. And the last year that was an exception in the Gregorian calendar was the year 1900, because it is divisible by 100 and not divisible by 400. Round 2, question number 4. The Jean-Paul Sartre story The Wall and Joan Mirau's painting The Reaper, which was most likely destroyed in 1938 and is pictured in just a few surviving images, were both responses to what war? And they were both responses to the Spanish Civil War, with Sartre's The Wall being about prisoners condemned to die by standing next to a wall that symbolizes the inevitability of death and facing the firing squad. Round 2, question number 5. The deepest known point in the ocean, located at the end of the Mariana Trench, is named after what British craft, which first recorded its depth around 1875, and later lent its name to another craft, first launched in 1983. And that British craft, as well as the spacecraft launched in 1983, both the Challenger, the HMS Challenger, the Challenger space shuttle, and the name was also used by the vehicle used by James Cameron to explore the Challenger Deep in 2012. Round 2, question number 6. Kool Keith's 1999 concept album First Come, First Served tells the story of the murder of what mathematically named alter ego of Keith's at the hand of a serial killer named Dr. Doom. That mathematically named alter ego was Dr. Octagon, who first appeared on 1996's Dr. Octagonacologist, and then was revived once before being killed again on 2008's Doctor Doom 2. Round 2, question number 7. Organizers of what sport have urged the International Olympic Committee to reject adding their sport, invented in Paris, to the 2024 Paris Olympics, due to a dispute with the International Gymnastics Federation? That sport, with its French origins, is the sport of parkour, and the parkour group insists that the International Gymnastics Federation has been engaging in a hostile takeover of the sport for years. And finally, round 2, question number 8. The cooking technique known as angustration is best exemplified in modern times by what dish, first popularized by Paul Prudhomme and later by the namesake of a popular video game franchise? The namesake of the popular video game franchise is John Madden, who, in addition to Paul Prudhomme, was one of the people who popularized the turducken. Angustration is a technique in which one animal is stuffed inside another, and a recipe exists of dubious veracity, that is whole stuffed camel, in which a sheep or lamb is jammed inside a medium-sized camel prior to cooking. After rounds 1 and 2 in the speed round, we do round number 3, which is the last round. In round number 3, teams are given 8 clues, and they have to provide answers to 5 of those 8 clues. And their answers are worth more points based on how rare their answer is. So the rarer the answer, among the actual responses given by the teams, the more points the answer is worth. The instructions for this week's round 3, the 8 answers to the clues on the following page are all connected to one another in some way. First and last names are required. The clues are presented in a random order. What are 5 of the 8 answers? And here are the 8 clues for this week's final round. In the actual trivia event, teams have 7 minutes to complete their answer forms for this round, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at the answers right now. So again, if you need more time, go ahead and pause the video. We'll start with the stage name of the comedian born Sarah Colley, whose hat cost $1.98. That was Minnie Pearl. And from there, we'll go to the bottom left, the first American woman to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, born to missionaries who moved to Huai'an when she was 5. We go from Minnie Pearl to Pearl Buck. Then we'll go to the upper left, the co-writer of the Graduate Script, who hosted SNL 10 times from 1976 to 1980. We'll go from Pearl Buck in the bottom left to Buck Henry in the upper left. So we have Minnie Pearl, Pearl Buck, Buck Henry, and then we'll go to the author of the 1898 novella that was loosely adapted into Netflix's 2020 series, The Haunting of Bly Manor. We'll go from Buck Henry to Henry James. We'll go from Henry James to the upper right, the only actor to have had 2 posthumous acting nominations. That was James Dean, the host of a series of TV specials recorded in the MGM Grand Hotel Ziegfeld Room starting in 1974. We'll go from James Dean to Dean Martin, the comedian banned from SNL for an off-color monologue, who starred in a self-titled Fox sitcom from 92 to 97. We'll go from Dean Martin to Martin Lawrence. And finally, we'll finish in the lower right with the bandleader born in 1903 in North Dakota, whose music was described as the squarest music this side of Euclid. Go from Martin Lawrence to Lawrence Welk. So those are the 8 answers for this week's round 3. Again, the actual live trivia event is every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/yearofglad. Thanks for watching this week's video. Hope to see you at the live event.